What's up, everybody? UFC card on tonight. I love my fights. So as always, well, not always, because some cards I just don't feel like taking the time to break down. They're just it take me longer to look up all the undercard fighters and figure out who they were than it's really worth the time on. But anywho, UFC 221 tonight, headlined by an interim title fight between Luke Rockhold and Yoel Romero. Originally, this was supposed to be Yoel Romero versus Robert Whitaker, but Robert Whitaker had a nasty, nasty staph infection. Took him out of the fight. He's still recovering from it. Hopefully, he'll be back soon, though, because whoever wins this fight tonight between Yoel Romero and Luke Rockhold is expected to fight Robert Whitaker in his return. I'm going to do a quick head-to-toe. I know the Fight Pass prelims are coming on here pretty soon, so just some hit times. I know some of you probably will only care about like what time the fights start. I only want to hear me drone on too much about my picks. But Fox Sports 1 prelims will be at 7. Pay-per-view, 9 o'clock. Fight Pass, 5:30. So those are starting here pretty soon. Now I'm saying 5:30 is my time zone. Trying to find my remote real quick so I can actually turn them on. I love me some fights. Multitasking. Anywho, I'll start from the bottom to the top. First fight on the Fight Pass prelims, we've got Luke. I'm not going to butcher his last name. Jumeau. Never actually seen him fight before. Missed out on watching some of his stuff on Fight Pass. Just there's a bunch of other fights on the card that I really wanted to be able to go in detail on somewhat. So him versus Dachi Abe, don't know. I'll be watching it here soon. So the next time these guys fight, I can give you more informed opinion. Dachi Abe is the betting favorite if you're a betting person and you might know more about them than me. Take a stab at it, see what you can do. Teruto Ishihara and Jose Alberto Quiñones is the second fight. Bantamweight fight. Ishihara was fighting at 45, so I guess he's moving down to 35. I know it was his last fight. He lost to Conor McGregor's stablemate. Damn it, I can't believe I'm forgetting the dude's name. Artem Lobov. Sorry about that. I'm good with names usually, and I forgot that guy's name. Lost to Artem Lobov. Ishihara, he's not somebody who you're going to see like challenging for the title anytime soon. He's kind of a journeyman. Mixed bag of grappling tricks and some hard punches. Did remember his fight. Who was it that I watched him knock out? Rosa or something like that. He's got some heavy hands, and he's pretty quick. He puts his shots together. But I do believe he's the betting underdog. Jose Alberto is the favorite from the odds I looked at. So, I can't argue with the odds here. I don't know enough about either one of these guys as far as like who they train with, what their particular skills are, if they're black belt, brown belt, whatever. Should be an interesting fight, Am I going to give it a 5-star? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know enough about him. But main event of the prelims on Fight Pass, Ross Pearson versus Mizuto Hirota. Now, Hirota and Ishihara, or is it Ishihara? I know Hirota fought to a draw in the UFC Road to Japan series. It was like their Japanese version of the Ultimate Fighter, or like a Japanese season of the Ultimate Fighter. Fought to a draw there. I can't think of any like particular performances of his that have stood out to me, but Ross Pearson, longtime veteran of MMA, he's been with the UFC for almost a decade now, maybe a decade now. I'm going to say almost a decade. Real good pocket boxer, very sharp head movement, nasty left hook, knocked out Gray Maynard with it, knocked out Ryan Couture, knocked out Sam Stout with it. He's been on a skid, though. He's lost his last 5 fights. The game is just passing that kind of pocket boxer, one-dimensional skill set by. You know, it's like you got to be able to fight in the clinch a little bit more, shoot a takedown just to win some points. And he got brutally knocked out in his last fight, did Ross Pearson. I hate to see a guy, because I remember Pearson on The Ultimate Fighter. Always enjoyed him, but I do believe he's the betting favorite from the notes I'm looking at. And that should be, fun. Pearson's usually in pretty good fights. I can't remember many, if any, dull Ross Pearson fights. And just looking at the stats on, oh, come on, computer, don't start doing that. There we go. Where's the height stats on him? Let me go back. Sorry, I'm trying to look up something at the moment. See if I can notice about it. Sorry, my computer's being a bitch. Still getting used to the oh, here we go. No, and it went too far. Damn it. Sorry. Anywho, I'll ignore that. Yeah, Fight Pass prelims. I'll go with Abe. I'll pick a mild upset and go with Teruto Ishihara here, just because something stood out to me in one of the fights of his I watched. I don't know. I'm going out on a limb making that pick there. And then also Ross Pearson. So, Fight Pass prelims. I got Ross Pearson, Ishihara, and Daichi Abe. Fox Sports 1 prelims. Those are going to be at 7 o'clock here where I live. I live in the South, Arkansas. So 7 o'clock for the Fox Sports 1 prelims. And the sleeper fight that they have opening up this with is Jessier Formiga and Ben Nguyen. And it took me a minute to like watch some fights of his and figure out how they pronounce his name, because it's spelled Nguyen. But it's Ben 10 Nguyen. He's got some nasty striking. Like in particular, his fight versus Ryan Benoit stood out to me. He came out, pop, hit him with a couple of shots, and then took him down, got his back, and choked him. I was impressed. And in his last fight, he came out and clipped Tim Elliott with a head kick and rocked Tim Elliott, and then took him down and submitted him as well. So he's got some finishing threats. And Jessier Formiga is a guy, like, I'm surprised he hasn't fought Demetrius Johnson for the title yet, because at one point Formiga was considered the best 125-pounder in the world before that division came to the UFC. Very good jiu-jitsu. His striking has come a long way since the early days of his career. But I think that Ben Nguyen might tune him up here. There's just something about the matchup. Like Ben Nguyen, just the way he came out and put it on Tim Elliott and put it on Ryan Benoit. Some about him doing that to those guys in particular just says I think he might finish Jessier Formiga here. Next fight up the card, we got undefeated Jeremy Kennedy versus Alexander Volkanovski. And Volkanovski's a prospect. He's one of these guys, like how a couple weeks ago I was speaking very high of Mirsad Bektic. I've seen a couple of Volkanovski's fights. He's got real good wrestling. Like you don't usually associate great wrestling with non-American fighters, but he's shown some great takedowns, some good top control, pretty decent ground and pound. Looks sharp on the feet. Solid fundamentals. Nothing like overly stands out to me quite yet about his game, but as long as he keeps winning, keeps building on his skills and improvising, when he needs to, putting it together, I see him becoming a contender. He's the betting favorite. Looking at my notes, I'm not mentioning odds because I'm not much of an odds guy. I'll just tell you who the favorite is as far as like who people expect to win. But he's the favorite over Jeremy Kennedy, and I myself, I might have seen Jeremy Kennedy fight before, but again, I didn't have the time to look him up and watch any footage of Kennedy's. But Volkanovski, this is a fight for him where it's like it's another win in a row, it's another step up the ladder. He beats Kennedy here. Maybe we'll see him fight one of those bottom end of the top 15 guys, bottom end of the top 10. At the featherweight division, because they're always clamoring for contenders, and that's the division. And like 145 and 135 is quickly becoming a shark tank. Like there's just so many guys working their way up the ranks with good skill sets. So I'm taking Volkanovski there. It seems like a safe pick. I don't know enough about Kennedy to really say a who or how or what, but if Volkanovski wins, it'll be a combination of sharp strikes on feet, pressuring in for the takedown against the cage or out in the open space. Next fight, Rob Wilkinson and Israel Adesanya. I hope I said that right. Adesanya, I've seen him fight in Glory Kickboxing, and he's fought some really tough guys in kickboxing. I mean, fought Jason Wilness, Felipe Verlinden, current Glory champ. I forget his name. Pereira. I don't want to butcher it. I'll just look at it. Yeah, fought Alex Pereira. Fought Jason Winless. Has a win over Yusuf Belgari, who Pereira just defended his title against. It was like Glory 49, maybe. His MMA career, as far as like what he's done as an MMA fighter, I see one notable name on there, and that's Melvin Gillard. And Melvin Gillard, he's a lightweight. I don't know why a middleweight kickboxer is fighting Melvin Gillard. It just seems like Gillard's team isn't doing what they should in order to guarantee him not getting murdered by some way oversized middleweight. But Rob Wilkinson, the only fight of his I remember is him versus Siriar Bahadurzada. And Bahadurzada just really goaded him in to the pocket and tagged him with shots. Wilkins was smart. He got him against the fence and went for some takedowns on some occasions, but couldn't really keep him down, couldn't do anything with the takedowns, and Bahadurzada just hit him with heavy leather on the feet and rocked him a few times. Side note, the first fight past prelim is kicking off right now. Got Luke Jumea, Juma. I'll call him Luke. He's an Aussie, and then Daichi Abe, the Japanese gentleman. 29, 26, 5'11", 5'11", 70.5, 75. Half-inch reach advantage for Luke. Anyway, back to the breakdown. Usually I'm pretty hesitant on picking kickboxers to beat MMA fighters, just because like it always lines me. It's like, oh well, what's gonna happen when he gets taken down one time and is like a turtle on his back? But listening to the guys from Glory and some of the UFC commentators and other people make picks on him, I'll go with Adesanya. Plus, I didn't like the way that Wilkins reacted to the shots that he took when he fought Bahadurzada, because that guy's a natural welterweight, and Wilkins just couldn't figure out what to do with him on the feet. It was a little befuddling. So I got Adesanya there, and that moves us to the headliner of the FS1 prelims, Damian Brown and Dong Hyun Kim. I remember Damian Brown because he had that really fun fight with Frank Camacho a couple months ago. Got fight of the night, and the only thing I really remember about Dong Hyun Kim was, now this is the maestro, not the stun gun, Dong Hyun Kim. Kim, he had a really fun fight with Marco Polo Reyes, but the whole time was just eating unnecessary amounts of punches, like had next to no head movement, stayed in the pocket, gassed himself out pretty effectively by the end of the second round, and just got teed off on in the third. I can't say that that'll happen to him here against Damian Brown. Kim is the favorite as far as the betting odds go, but I'm always hesitant to pick somebody who showed just that much like vulnerability to getting hit, because it was like every punch that Polo Reyes threw at him, he landed. Now he did hurt Polo Reyes a couple times, but it just, man, he got dropped quite a few times. Just no head movement, chin up in the air, not getting out of the pocket, just marching in, taking shots. Should make for a fun fight. I see why they have this headlining the FS1 prelims. Both guys have been in Fight of the Night performances. But, hey, who knows? Maybe they'll get a Fight of the Night type thing here. I don't really... Let me see if I can get some information on Damian Brown. Just to... Oh, damn thing. Damian Brown... his record looking like. He's got a lot of losses. Got knocked out by Vince Pichel, before the loss to Frank Camacho, has a split decision loss and a split decision win over John Tuck and a TKO win over Cesar. Lost to Alan Patrick. That's my sister laughing in the background. I can see why Kim is favored here, but then at the same time, it's just kind of like, yeah. It's a whatever fight to me, really. Kim has won his last 2 fights, knocked out Takanori Gomi in his last fight, but pretty much everybody who's fought Gomi over the past few years has knocked him out. He's just not there anymore. I'll go with Kim just because, why not? He's the betting favorite. He's shown the ability to put some power into his shots, can be a little reckless. But Damian Brown showed the same thing against Frank Camacho. Excuse me. So, Fox Sports 1 prelims, I've got Ben Nguyen, Alexander Volkanovski, Israel Asdana, and Dong Hyun Kim. Not going to go into a how, woo, what. Israel probably will knock out Rob Wilson. Volkanovski might take a ground and pound TKO stoppage or a decision. Ben Nguyen, if he's going to beat Jussier for me, I see it being violent. Don't quote me on that. That's just how I feel about it. Now, the pay-per-view, which will be... Ooh, wow. These guys... Somebody got hurt, and Daichi Abe's teeing off on... Oh, he's goading him right back into the pocket. You got to pick your hands up, though, man. Anywho, sorry. Fight on. Talking about fights. Tyson Pedro and Saparbek Safaroth opens up the pay-per-view. This will be at 9 o'clock. I'm definitely going with Tyson Pedro here because Saparbek looked pretty abysmal versus Gian Vellante. Oh, Abe hurt him. Abe's got his back and is pounding the shit out of him. Luke's getting back up to his feet, though. He's got to get his... Yeah, you got to turn into him. You can't have your back to him. Oh, good knee. You got to get off the fence. Sorry, fight going on. I've seen Tyson Pedro in a couple of his fights. He's impressed me so far. Young light heavyweight prospect as far as like years that he's been in the game. Saparov looks just abysmal versus Gian Vellante. Not going to put a lot of stock in him. Probably won't go anywhere in the division, but he'll probably stick around for a while, win some fights, lose some fights. But Pedro, he's a promising guy. So I've got Tyson Pedro TKO, maybe a decision, depending on how tough Saparbek is. Then next fight, Jake Matthews and Jing Liang. Jing Liang, oh yeah, betting favorites. Pedro's the betting favorite on that fight. Oh, God, Abe hurt him again. Oh, swung a big elbow and missed. Abe circles out, resets in the cage, center of the cage. Sorry. Some about this matchup, like, Jing Liang is the favorite, and I can get why, but something tells me Jake Matthews might pull the upset here, so I'm going to go out on the limb, say that he can put that grappling game together, because, like, don't get me wrong, I've seen Matthews lose, and he got absolutely crushed by, oh, God, I'm horrible with names right now. I can't believe I can't remember this fucking cat's name. I just was talking about him. Kevin Lee. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, guys. It's like I get on here and I can't fucking remember who anybody is. But, yeah, Kevin Lee beat up Jake Matthews pretty abysmally in one of Jake Matthews' last few fights. But something tells me he might pull the upset here over Jing Liang. I've seen the Leech, as he's nicknamed, get tagged by some hard shots. And his takedown defense isn't impenetrable. But I'm going for Jake Matthews with the upside. I think just the Aussie fighting at home, he's going to be able to get it done tonight. Speaking of guys fighting kind of on their home turf, we got young Mark Hunt, Tai Tuivasa from Sydney, Australia. Hey, kiddies, better cut that crap out. I've been impressed just with... it's like there's not a lot of film on Tuivasa to study, but just the way he fought in his last fight, he gives me hope for a 24-year-old in the heavyweight division. He's 8-0. I'm always gonna root for a young prospect, and hopefully they bring him up the ladder slowly. But it all depends on if he can win on this big stage tonight. Cyril Asker, I watched a couple of his fights. He's very much a shoot the takedown kind of guy. I haven't seen him spend much time on his feet in the few fights of his I've watched. But Tai Tuivasa has been a long-time training partner with Mark Hunt, apparently. I mean, he moves like a young Mark Hunt. He's very light on his feet for a big fella. And I really look forward to seeing this one. I'm definitely picking Tai Tuivasa. Probably a knockout within 2. Cyril Asker might surprise us, but there hasn't been anything out of those few fights of his I saw. Like, I think the last fight he won, it was against a 3-0 guy making his debut or something like that. So, yeah, I'm not holding my head up too much for Cyril Asker. It's not a knock on him. I haven't seen anything from him in particular that just makes him stand out to me. And speaking of Mark Hunt, co-main event, Mark the Super Samoan Hunt versus Curtis Blades. This fight will probably, pay-per-view kicks off at 9, so this fight will probably be going around like 10:30 maybe, if you live here in Arkansas like I do. Just because like the pace of the pay-per-view, the number of fights that they've got, so on. So co-main event will probably be somewhere between 10:30. I've put a lot of thought into this fight because Mark Hunt, he looked great against Derek Lewis, but I was never very high on Derek Lewis. I mean, it's like, yeah, he had knocked out a lot of people, but knocking out Gabriel Gonzaga in this day and age doesn't, like, to me, make a contender. It does not. Curtis Blades, he's a young cat, 26, 27 years old, JUCO national wrestling champ. He worries me, though, and is like the way that he strikes. There's something about, like, I can't put it in like a technical way of just like what about it bothers me. He has to think like, okay, I threw a punch, now I need to move my head instead of throwing it and moving automatically. He just kind of like, punch, okay, now I move. Like against Francis Ngannou, was landing good jabs, but never got out of the way of Ngannou to avoid getting hit by a counter. Which, if you fight in the pocket and you don't, get out of the way of Mark Hunt's left hook or that overhand right, that right uppercut, you're gonna be in trouble. But just like I was impressed with the way that I've seen him just blast double guys, like just shoot in on them and plow them to the canvas. His last fight I watched was Olinsky. I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher guys' names, but they me kind of tough for a southern tongue like mine. I've bounced back and forth. Blades is the favorite. Mark Hunt isn't getting any younger. He's been fighting for 20 plus years now. I really want to pick Mark Hunt. But something tells me Blades, with just the way he'll blast double guys, he might get it done tonight. But I don't like picking against my favorites. Like me, is like, yeah, I can go into details and statistics and tell you, it's like, oh, well, this guy, this is why he's the favorite, I'll go with that. But I'm picking Mark Hunt for the upset. I don't think that the young cat Curtis Blades has enough savvy on his feet to be able to stay out of danger long enough to wear Mark Hunt down and get those takedowns he needs to win. So I got Mark Hunt by maybe a split decision, similar to the way like Machida Anders was this past week. Not in like how the fight played out, but as in like how it's slightly contested. Maybe he stops him. But Blades is a big athletic dude, and he's got a great blast double. I mean, there's not a lot of setup or rhyme or reason to it, but he plows guys to the canvas, and that could be problematic if he gets Hunt second-guessing his strikes. But I'm picking Mark Hunt, and that brings us to the main event of the evening, Yoel Romero versus Luke Rockhold. Romero hasn't fought since July, I want to say it was, when he lost to Robert Whittaker for the interim title. Man, Abe has busted this cat up. That was the end of the second round. Sorry. Yoel Romero's the number 1 ranked contender. Luke Rockhold the number 2. Romero 12-2. Rockhold 16-3. Rockhold's jiu-jitsu is phenomenal from a top control position. He's got very good chokes. Choked out Machida. Submitted Tim Bosch with a crazy triangle Kimura. That was one of my favorite submissions I've seen in the middleweight division in a long time. And he's got a nasty check hook, solid kicks, moves well on his feet. My problem with Rockhold has always been just some fundamental flaws in his boxing. Not a lot of head movement, not a lot of jab work. I don't see him kind of parry and slip a whole lot. He's not a big combination puncher. It's more like, I'll throw the left straight, I'll throw the right hook. I'll throw a jab or single at a times, left kick to the body, left kick to the body, left kick up high. It's effective. He makes it work. But it's like those defensive gaps can get him in trouble. It's like Dave Branch stepping to the outside of that right hook and then coming in with left hook, right overhand, and he wobbled Rockhold in the first round of their fight. And Luke Rockhold shut that down by catching him a few times with that right hook and then getting him into the clinch, getting him down, getting on top of him, and beating the shit out of him. Got his back, mounted him, just pounded away on him. Dave Branch tapped the strikes. But Yoel Romero is going to be a hard guy to take down and control like that because Yoel Romero is top-of-the-line, world-class wrestler. You'll hear Joe Rogan comment from time to time. He has 2 wins over Cael Sanderson in wrestling, and if you're a wrestling buff, you should know how significant that is as far as amateur wrestling pedigrees. The problem I have with this fight is from the losses I've seen of Rockhold, it hasn't been in the style of a style of approach that as far as a matchup stylistically that Yoel brings to the table. Yeah, Yoel hits really hard. Yeah, he's got great wrestling, but I've never seen Rockhold lose in a manner in which Yoel fights. Usually if Rockhold loses, somebody comes out, puts the pressure on him, and catches him early. Like against Vitor Belfort. Vitor Belfort kept him on the back foot, blitzed him, and then head kicked the ever-loving piss out of him. Michael Bisping came out, stepped to the outside of that hook, threw a right to the body, brought that left hook over the top, dropped him. That's not the kind of stuff I see from Yoel Romero. Now, can Yoel Romero launch that left straight and put Luke Rockhold on Queer Street? Yeah, I mean, he could do it. It's just not something that I've seen Romero do. And can he shoot the double and or trip Rockhold in the clinch and stay on top of him? Yeah, but outside of the performance against Machida where he, obliterated Machida with ground and pound after a takedown, you just don't see that constant aggression from Romero. It's more like, I'll throw some strikes and kind of hang back and wait for an opportunity to conserve my energy and explode on guys when they're not expecting it. And I see Rockhold taking advantage of Romero's kind of laid-back style. Kick into the body, maybe his eye is fucked up, man. Oh, no, finger poke. Or, I'm sorry, eye poke. Oh, no, wait, that looked like a thumb. It looked like a knuckle of the thumb. Hold on, let's see another replay on it. Sorry, that's shit going on in the fight. So, like I said, I could see how Rockhold wins, wearing Romero down with body kicks. He did. Romero did miss weight for this fight. He came in only a couple pounds over. But anytime a guy misses weight, it always raises a red flag on me about conditioning. It's just like, how much did he take out of himself trying to make that weight? So we'll see. Main card picks. I got Pedro. I got Jake Matthews, Tuivasa, Mark Hunt, and Rockhold. Rockhold, I see him probably stopping Romero from the mount, like wearing him down, getting him down onto his back, a little bit of ground and pound. Maybe Romero gives up his back and Luke Rockhold sinks in the choke. He's got a nasty rear naked choke. But anyway, picks from the top of the card, back down to the bottom. Luke Rockhold, TKO, maybe submission. Mark Hunt, possible TKO, maybe a kind of janky decision, depending on if the hometown crowd thing comes into favor. I'm picking Tai Tuivasa to knock out Cyril Lasker. I think Tuivasa's got big potential. I see him doing great things as long as they bring him up slowly, don't rush him into contender status too quickly. I got Jake Matthews for the upset over Jing Liang. I see something here with Matthews' grappling ability. Tyson Pedro should steamroll Saperbek Saparov. TKO, maybe a decision. Dong Hyun, the Maestro Kim, decision, I'll say. Israel Aldana, probably early mid-round knockout. Alexander Volkanovski, mid-late TKO decision. Ben Nguyen, first-round stoppage. I'll be bold, put that out there. Ross Pearson by decision. Teruta Ishihara by a fun decision. And I think Dachi Abe has pretty clearly been beating up Luke, what's-his-name, in this fight. So there you have it on my picks. Hope you enjoyed. You know, I'm going to keep improving, keep getting the flow of things better. Try and get my buddy on here to do some co-hosting with me so it's not just me yatting away, get some back and forth conversation going, do a little bit more breakdown stuff. We'll post these to the YouTube channel. You can find it on YouTube, Martial Arts Talk, YouTube page. I'll try and put a link up for it. As always, you can follow us on Facebook. I've been a little bit more laxed on the daily updates this week. I had an exam I was trying to study for and some homework to do, so forgive me on that. But follow me after the fights are over. I'll try and do a post-fight breakdown like I did for the Brunson-Jacare fight. Follow us on Twitter at Martial Art Talk. And hopefully I'll be working with the Arkansas Herald here in a little while on covering some of this on their platform. Just doing some fight breakdowns, doing some like technique videos. But thanks for listening. Give it a share, like, comment, whatever. You know, any feedback is acceptable, even if you're a douchebag about it. You know, just trying to grow, hone the skills. So, Fight Pass prelims are on now. Fox Sports 1 prelims come on at 7. Pay-per-view at 9. If you missed something, scroll through, tweet me, Facebook me, whatever. Signing off.